Today, we're exploring a theory that's as pure as Heisenberg's signature blue product. What if the king of the empire business, Walter White himself, survived that final showdown? Get ready, because this tale of survival, power, and the return of Heisenberg will leave you speechless. Before we dive in, if you enjoy these alternate realities as much as Jesse enjoyed the blue stuff, don't forget to subscribe. It's free. Now let's explore this theory. Imagine this. It's 2024, a decade after Walter White should have met his end in that compound. But in this reality, the bullet that grazed him missed anything vital. As Walt lay there, surrounded by the chaos he created, his brilliant mind worked overtime one last time. He applied pressure to his wound, slowed his breathing, and played dead until the authorities arrived. The media frenzy that follows is unprecedented. News outlets can't get enough of the Heisenberg survival story. Overnight, Walt becomes a household name, a feared figure for some, a dark anti-hero for others. True crime podcasts dissect every aspect of his life. Amateur detectives debate his motivations, and Hollywood executives are already fighting over the movie rights. After months of touch-and-go surgeries, Walt faces a life sentence. But here's where it gets interesting. Walt doesn't fight the charges. He doesn't hire expensive lawyers or try to wiggle out of it. No, he accepts the sentence with a smirk that sends chills down the spines of everyone in the courtroom. It's not the look of a defeated man, but of a chess master who's already planning his next move. You see, prison isn't the end for Walter White. It's just the beginning of his next empire. Behind bars, Walt becomes a legend. He uses his intellect to gain favor with both inmates and guards. He starts tutoring sessions that are really a front for planning elaborate schemes. The prison library becomes his new lab, books on chemistry and business his new equipment. He's not just passing time, he's laying the groundwork for something bigger than anyone could imagine. Within a year, he controls every forbidden operation in the prison. Contraband flows through the facility like water, and at the heart of it all sits Walt, the puppet master pulling all the strings. He's not just surviving in prison, he's thriving. Inmates whisper his name with a mixture of fear and respect. Guards look the other way, their pockets lined with cash. Walt's not just a prisoner anymore, he's the king of his own concrete castle. But Walt's ambitions don't stop at the prison walls. He uses his network of corrupted guards to communicate with the outside world. Slowly but surely, he rebuilds his empire piece by piece. It's a delicate balancing act, one that requires all of Walt's cunning and intellect. He's not just dealing with rival gangs now, he's outwitting the entire U.S. justice system. Remember our lovable sidekicks, Badger and Skinny Pete? They become Walt's unwitting pawns on the outside. They think they're just running harmless errands, but in reality, they're laying the groundwork for Heisenberg's return. It's genius, really. Who would suspect two bumbling ex-users of being the key to a criminal empire? Meanwhile, the world moves on, unaware of the storm brewing behind those prison walls. Skyler, using the money Walt left her, moves to a quiet town in Maine. She changes her name, opens a small bookstore, and tries to give Holly a normal life. But the shadow of Heisenberg looms large. Little does she know, some of her best customers are Walt's men, keeping an eye on his family. They're there in the background of Holly's school plays, browsing the shelves of Skyler's bookstore, always watching, always reporting back. Walter Jr., now insisting on being called Flynn, throws himself into his studies. He graduates law school at the top of his class and joins the DEA as a legal consultant. His goal? To make sure no one ever slips through the cracks of justice like his father did. Flynn becomes known for his relentless pursuit of illegal substance producers, unaware that with every bust, he's actually clearing the way for his father's new operation. Jesse Pinkman, last seen speeding away from the compound, finds peace in Alaska. He builds a quiet life as a carpenter, trying to forget his past. But on quiet nights, he finds himself looking over his shoulder, unable to shake the feeling that someday, somehow, Heisenberg will come knocking again. He takes up woodworking, finding solace in creating things with his hands instead of destroying lives. But every now and then, when he's mixing wood stains, he catches himself muttering old chemistry terms. Old habits die hard. Saul Goodman, now Gene Takovich, thinks he's in the clear-selling cinnamon rolls in Omaha. But when whispers of Walt's prison empire reach him, he realizes the game isn't over. It's just moved to a new playing field. Paranoia sets in. Every customer becomes a potential threat. Every glance, a possible recognition. Saul's past is catching up to him, and he knows it's only a matter of time before he's pulled back into Heisenberg's orbit. 5 years into Walt's sentence, strange things start happening. Key witnesses, in his case, start disappearing. Evidence goes missing. Suddenly, legal experts are calling for a retrial, citing gross miscarriage of justice. It's a masterclass in manipulation, all orchestrated from behind bars. The retrial is a media circus. News vans camp outside the courthouse. Social media explodes with free Heisenberg hashtags, and online betting sites take odds on the verdict. Walt, ever the master manipulator, plays the role of a repentant man perfectly. He expresses remorse, talks about how prison has changed him. But we know better, don't we? We see that glint in his eye, the same one he had when he first said, Let's cook. In a twist that shocks the nation, Walt is released on a technicality. As he walks out of the prison gates, he's not Walter White the convict anymore. He's Heisenberg, reborn and more dangerous than ever. The cameras flash, reporters shout questions, but Walt just smiles that enigmatic smile. He's a free man, but we all know the truth. The world is his prison now, and we're all just living in it. But Heisenberg's return to freedom doesn't mean a return to his old ways. No, Walt has bigger plans. He's spent years in prison studying not just chemistry, but economics, political science, and social engineering. He's not interested in cooking up batches of blue in some rundown RV anymore. He's after something much bigger: control. Walt starts small, buying up struggling businesses in Albuquerque. A car wash here, a laser tag placed there. To the outside world, it looks like a man trying to make amends, providing jobs and boosting the local economy. But we know better. Each business is a piece in Heisenberg's grand chess game. As his legitimate business empire grows, so does his influence. He makes generous donations to local politicians, sponsors community events, and even starts a scholarship fund for chemistry students. The public starts to see him not as Heisenberg the criminal, but as Walter White the philanthropist, the job creator, the misunderstood genius. But beneath this veneer of respectability, the Blue Empire is rising again. Walt uses his network of businesses to distribute his product, hiding it in plain sight. Car washes become distribution centers. Laser tag prizes contain more than just cheap plastic toys. The blue spreads across the Southwest faster than ever before, and the authorities are powerless to stop it. Walt's not just a producer anymore. He's become the invisible hand guiding the entire market. He manipulates supply and demand with the precision of a master chemist, causing shortages here, flooding the market there. Rival producers find their products mysteriously contaminated, their labs raided by anonymous tips. One by one, they fall, leaving Heisenberg as the sole supplier of the blue. The DEA is in a frenzy, knowing something big is happening but unable to pin anything on the now respected businessman Walter White. Flynn, working for the DEA, finds himself chasing shadows, unaware that he's hunting his own father. It's a cat-and-mouse game played out on a national scale, with Flynn unknowingly dismantling his father's competitors while Heisenberg grows stronger. And Walt? He's living the life he always felt he deserved. He's got the money, the power, the respect. He's not just a danger anymore. He is the danger. He attends charity galas, rubs elbows with the elite, all while his blue product flows through the veins of the nation. It's everything he ever wanted, and more. But empires have a way of crumbling, don't they? As Walt's influence spreads, so do the consequences of his actions. The rate of addiction in Albuquerque skyrockets. Families are torn apart. The city he claims to be saving is slowly being destroyed from within. And somewhere in Alaska, Jesse sees the news. He recognizes the telltale signs of the blue product's resurgence. He realizes his quiet life is about to get very loud. Jesse stares at the TV, wood chisel in hand, as the realization washes over him. The game isn't over. It never was. And like it or not, he's about to be pulled back in. As the pressure mounts, Walt does what he does best. He adapts. He goes on the offensive, using his charisma and intellect to spin the narrative. He's not a criminal, he insists, but a misunderstood genius pushing the boundaries of human potential. He promises breakthroughs in mental health, in addiction treatment, in cognitive enhancement. The world hangs on his every word, torn between fear and fascination. But beneath the surface, the wheels are turning. Walt knows he's on borrowed time. The DEA is closing in. His former allies are turning on him, and his own product is spiraling out of control. He needs an exit strategy, one last grand plan to secure his legacy and his fortune. And that's where we leave our story, balanced on a knife's edge. Heisenberg is back, more powerful than ever, but surrounded on all sides by enemies and his own creations. The stage is set for one final, spectacular Breaking Bad. So, what do you think? Is this the final act of Heisenberg's story, or just the beginning of a new chapter? Will his empire flourish in the light of day, or will it all come crashing down? And what about Jesse, Skyler, and Flynn? Will they get pulled back into Walt's orbit, or will they manage to escape his gravitational pull once and for all? Drop your theories in the comments below. If this video blew your mind harder than a lab explosion, hit that like button. Share it with your fellow Breaking Bad fanatics. After all, no one wants to theorize alone. And hey, if you're watching this, Mr. White, we're not in the blue stuff business or the money business. We're in the blowing minds with crazy theories business, and business is booming. Stay tuned for our next what if scenario. Until then, remember, tread lightly and don't forget to subscribe.